And we are live. So as we gain our listeners here, I'll give an introduction. Again, from New Orleans, I'm Lisa Salberg. Thank you for joining me on Tales from the Heart, a podcast from the Hypertrophic Cardiomyopathy Association. Super excited for this one, everybody. This is a first and an only, because you can only do a first once. And the young lady joining me here, Julia, is going to introduce herself a little bit more in a minute. But about 2 years ago, many of you heard me get very excited when I landed in Cleveland, Ohio for the Heart Failure Society of America scientific sessions. And I found out that the first patient had been dosed with genetic therapy for MYBPC3. And so the back angle of all of this, when I found out about it, I brought one of our HCMA awards and I gave it to Dr. Desai. And I said, I don't know who this person is, but please give this to them and tell them on behalf of the entire community, we thank them for their pioneering spirit and their bravery. And to my great surprise yesterday at the American Heart Association scientific sessions in the main tent, in the main room, one of the biggest presentations of the entire AHA, Melinda Tsai presents the data that you just heard about in the prior podcast on myosin binding protein C genetic therapy from Tenaya Therapeutics, TN201, all these TNs in HCM. And all of a sudden, Melinda comes down from the dais and he pulls out a chair. And this beautiful young lady sits down, and I went, oh my God, I know who that is. And after the presentation, I said, Julia, I don't know if you know me. And she did, because she watches the podcast and she's part of the community. And she's going to tell us a little bit about her journey to not only genetic therapy, but her journey with HCM. And out of all of the guests that I've had on this podcast over the past many years, very few of them I can say this truly and honestly are pioneers in a space that nobody's been before. So, Julia, my dear, thank you and welcome to the podcast. And why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself? Like, tell us where you're from, and we'll get into your family history.
Okay, my name's Julia. I'm from Canada. I was born in Newfoundland, so I live on the East Coast. I'm 29 years old. And I was diagnosed with HCM with the MYBPC3 plus variant when I was 24, just around COVID actually. And it was a whirlwind from diagnosis to ultimately a myectomy and an ICD, which wasn't planned. But anyways, I was very thankful at the time. I had just recently moved to Ontario, and I was under the special care of Anna Wu, and my surgeon was Ralph Edwards, which I can't say enough at the time saved my life, truly. I do mean that, and he is master at his craft, like, can't say enough good things. And now, after that, I was, and still currently I'm followed by a local cardiologist where I live about an hour outside of Toronto.
North, south, east, or west?
North of Toronto. No, south of Toronto. Sorry.
South of Toronto. I'm glad to know where you live. I was just in Toronto 2 weeks ago.
I was watching.
Okay. Small world. So
sorry, you have a stalker, I think.
It's okay. Stalk me as much as you want. If you're willing to, give this energy to the cause, you can do whatever you want. So Anna Wu is taking care of you. Ralph Edwards did your surgery. So it's been a wild 20s for you.
Yeah.
Not your typical 20s experience, but that's kind of HCM, isn't it?
Right.
Okay, so just so you know, we're sitting on a couch next to each other. So I'm not looking at you, I'm looking at that. Okay, so tell me a little bit about your family history.
So I have 3 generations, well, 2 for sure, and then my great-great-grandfather lives too. My mom was diagnosed early. She had her myectomy at 14. And then she passed away at 41, 42 on the transplant list. Just unfortunately didn't get a heart. And then my grandfather, like had an arrest. They think it was like an arrhythmic event. So again, HCM. And then my great grandfather, same thing, but even earlier, like 34, he died early, and again just dropped. Unfortunately, he just arrested. And so I have a pretty strong family history.
Okay, so the family history is there. How are you feeling after your myectomy? You're feeling pretty good, or what were your symptoms?
So before my myectomy, I think a lot of us can relate here. I was really symptomatic. I was having chest pain, but I didn't know it was chest pain. It felt when I exerted myself, especially, or ate a big meal sometimes even, that I had someone sitting on my shoulders, and it felt like I had a toilet seat around my neck, and someone was sitting on the toilet seat. I never thought that was chest pain. I didn't know what it was. I didn't understand what it was. So chest pain, but then shortness of breath, obviously, dizziness, like even, like I said, having a meal, I'd be out. Like I was just, and they explained it to me the blood was being diverted down to my stomach to help me digest, and because I didn't have great outflow, it was affected. Regardless, I was very symptomatic, couldn't walk uphill, could barely walk 30 feet flat. After my myectomy, it was life-changing. I didn't realize you could feel so good. And I did have complications afterwards, but I mean, it's a big surgery. However, I knew that it wasn't going to be, I knew it wasn't going to hold the disease, and I knew that it was just addressing the symptoms. So after my myectomy, I still had symptoms. It definitely wasn't like how it was prior to my myectomy, but again, like these are all the reasons that I kind of was always in the back of my mind, like where do I go from here?
I love that. Okay, so you give some really good visual explanations of symptoms, and we all use our own words to express, like, what is this thing I'm feeling? And I think you said an important thing there, that the myectomy, we love myectomies, yay myectomies, we love this. Oh, I'm sorry that there's some echoing. It's the room that we're in, it's a high ceiling. So this is the best we can do under the circumstances, and I wasn't going to miss the opportunity to sit side by side with her. So we'll try to, okay, I talk loud, so I'm going to probably try to talk a little bit lower, so maybe it doesn't echo quite as much. So I'll come down a few. And then if you want to just lean in a little bit more to the camera, maybe it'll be a little bit easier without an echo. So you go through all this stuff, you have your myectomy. Again, we love myectomies. But it's still not a normal muscle. So you were feeling the non-obstructed HCM, and that was becoming symptomatic. So you are in this stage. How did you learn about the clinical trial?
So I'm from Canada, like I had said. I had a cardiologist say, because of my very tight family history, that my disease progression would likely follow the same path. I don't know if he was just not knowledgeable or what. Because I looked for a second opinion. When you hear that, you're like, I need to know, is this true? So I looked for a second opinion, and Dr. Hackman, my local cardiologist, he goes to these conferences that was just being held like here in New Orleans, and he said, look, there's things coming down the pipeline. There's this thing called gene therapy, and like I only had heard of that in sci-fi movies, really, because I wasn't super involved with this, and so I left that appointment feeling hopeful, and I went to my computer at home, and I had my genetic counseling report sitting next to me, which I got because I had wanted children, and I typed in gene therapy trials for MYBPC3 into Google. A clinical trial came up, and they were enrolling patients. And so I emailed the patient coordinator, and I said I attached my genetic counseling report and my stats, my recent echo, and I just said, hey, would I be could I enroll in this study? And yeah, that's how I got involved.
Wow. Okay. So you're from Canada. You contact somebody in a company in San Francisco, and who was probably working out of Massachusetts. And then how do you end up at the Cleveland Clinic? How did you get to that point?
Well, the fact that it was taking place at the Cleveland Clinic, like even I, a lay person, knew what the Cleveland Clinic was. It's like the Mayo. It's like the Mayo and Cleveland Clinic, and maybe John Hopkins. Anyways, so I ended up there when I was speaking. Whoever I was originally speaking with passed me off to someone else who was involved with Cleveland Clinic. I think it was Danielle, actually. Danielle Kellner. She was my research nurse the whole time. Fantastic human nurse, everything. And anyways, she was like, we're dosing people here at this site, but eventually there's going to be a multi-center trial, hopefully. And we're pretty close to you because we're at Toronto's just across the border. And I ended up in Cleveland Clinic that way. It was the closest site, I think. Not only that, I had Dr. Desai, obviously, is a huge part of this whole thing. But anyways, I met the team at Cleveland Clinic, and I felt really comfortable, but that wasn't the end. Obviously, they had to do vigorous testing. They had to do their own macro, they had to do their own blood work. They had to see if I was a good candidate. And just all the stars aligned to where everything worked. And honestly, I think that is my team universe. It's like, I am a candidate, the blood work grew. It just seemed like everything was aligning. And that's why I ended up there.
I love that. Okay. So you get to Cleveland Clinic, and they start explaining this trial to you. You got to consent in. Was that daunting at all? Was it? What was that like?
Oh my gosh. So I was dosed in October, and for the whole summer, poor Danielle, we were back and forth the whole time because I wanted to know everything. And she sent me every bit of data she had on the animal models, any questions that I had that weren't in there, if there were any. She was like, I don't know, let me get back to you. And she would, I was fully informed about any potential side effects from other gene therapies that are already on the market. So because I was the first person, they couldn't tell me, hey, this might happen. We can only look at other gene therapies with similar vector. And so I took all of that into consideration. And honestly, with where I was at, I just felt like I was in a rock and a hard place, and that it was a big decision, but I felt like one that needed to happen.
You were 27 years old when you made this decision.
Yeah.
I was 27 years old when I started the HCMA. Just throwing that out there to the universe. Okay. So you go ahead and you say, I want to go. I want to do this. I've signed the consent. How did that feel?
They let me know at any time I could withdraw myself. So, yes, it was nerve-wracking. You're not going to sign up for a first-in-human trial, especially of this type, and not feel nervous. I was definitely nervous. But I do feel like I had a great support system, not just my family and friends, but also my team at the clinic. So as much as it was scary, I definitely felt supported through it.
And okay, we get to the day. I was literally landing at an airport when this was all happening, by the way, and I didn't know that until afterwards. So we're in Cleveland together, but not.
Yeah, we don't know.
A couple floors apart. And they come in with a syringe. What happens?
Oh my gosh, it was crazy because those who have a myectomy know how crazy that whole process is. But no, it was my nurse, Danielle, and Dr. Desai, obviously, and some people recording it like on a camera. But no, she just brought in like a little vial thing and a bag of saline, and they just dripped the saline with the vial. So it took about an hour for it to all go through, but it was just an IV. And then we just watched and waited. A lot of blood work afterwards, but we just watched and waited.
So it was basically an IV with a lot of like, what's going to happen? And then nothing happens, which is pretty much what you want to have happen in this situation. So it's in you.
It's in me.
And obviously you're not going to feel anything from it at that point, but what was your emotional position at this point? How did that process work?
I was really hopeful. Obviously, you're still scared. There's a part of you like, oh gosh, that's in me. And then so it's a whole bunch of emotions, especially just as the first person. But every time blood work came in, especially while I was in hospital there, it was just really reassuring. So when my labs were so good, and like they had things that they knew that they were watching for from other clinical trials, like I said, and like just every hour that passed and those things didn't happen was like really good. So just emotions were just hopeful, and like every hour that passed, I was there for a week. They watched me for a week there, and every day that passed was just like, oh, great, 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 great.
And then you just go home and be normal.
Fine.
So what happened when you went home?
So I went home. You're still on immunosuppression. So as you know, you have to be a little bit careful because viruses, you don't want to pick up a virus when you're immunocompromised because that can be bad. So that was a worry for me. So it was just keeping like my friends close and my family and just like extra hand washing, wearing a mask when I'm in public places, avoiding maybe concerts, gyms for a little bit. So, but yeah, when I went home, again, because I was the first person, and in the first year of this trial, you will get followed pretty closely. There's a lot of back and forth between Canada and Ohio. I know Ohio pretty well now, so yeah.
You're comfortable there. Okay. So you come home, you're on immunosuppression. How long did you stay on the immunosuppression?
I think I don't actually know. I did have a longer dose than we were expecting, but
6 months or something like that.
I think around 6 months.
I'm trying to remember the protocol.
Paper. It's not like you can just they give you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You can't
Well,
just
they
stop
don't.
it.
Tell them.
Well, when you're taking immunosuppression medication, you can't just stop it because it can cause like an adrenal crisis, I believe. So you have to slowly taper, and I mean slowly, like week by week, 0.5 milligram. Like it's they're trying to keep you safe, and that's what it is. But it took a while to taper off.
So you're off the immunosuppression.
I'm off the immunosuppression now.
You're living your life. How do you feel?
I feel there was a certain amount of like stress around like the first year for some reason. I felt like I was constantly waiting. But now I feel completely, I don't think about my health, which is like a good way to be. I mean, right now this weekend I'm thinking about my health a lot because I'm here and there's a huge hair conference, but like even with the check-ins with my doctors and well, Danielle unfortunately went back to New Jersey, but I used to bug her all the time, like, did you get my lab report? Or like just wanting to know what was going on. And now I've taken a back seat. My life has taken a front seat, and I'm like, I want to know what's going to happen in 5 years, you know. But for right now, the way I feel, if I was to live today, feeling what I do now, the rest of my life, I would be very happy. But I don't think about my heart health as much as I did, and it felt very consuming before.
What is a normal day for you now? What do you do?
I'm a nursing student, PSW during the summers, but I'm not as smart as I'd like to be, so I need to concentrate fully during this whole year. So I'm a nursing student, and I have friends. I have a boyfriend who's great. Actually, I love you. I wish he would have come with me, but I snowboard in the winter time, which is snowing in Canada, so I'm very excited. It looks like our ski hills are going to open up soon. And I have a dog, a New Ridgeback puppy, so we're hiking all the time. Most of the time I'm outside and not studying. So that's what I do.
Why do you think you made this decision? This is a big decision, and we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We have hope. We're inspired by you. You did something great. Why'd you do it?
I think
Hold on.
Okay, we're back. We just blinked a little bit. I don't think we have the bestest of internets here. Sorry. Next, go ahead. So why'd you do it?
I think anyone in my position would have the same 3 reasons. Obviously, hope for myself that this could help me, but also as a woman, especially, I think the thought of having a child and them inheriting my gene, maybe this would help develop something in the future that could possibly help them. And also my HCMA community, like Lisa, I've been stalking her for years, and most of you actually. I follow your stories, or relate to a lot of your stories, and I know we don't all have the same gene, but I think genetically inherited illnesses can benefit from all gene therapy trials because they can all learn from something. And another reason was when I was researching gene therapy trials to see what other people went through when I was deciding about it. A lot of the gene therapies were for like X-linked disorders. So a lot of them were actually male, so for like hemophilia and then a certain form of muscular dystrophy. Most of the participants were males, if not all. And so I definitely, being a nursing student or interested in science, I know that like there is a big bias towards males. I think partly because males sign up for these things more, but maybe not. I don't know. But anyways, I wanted to give males signing up for science too.
You wanted to be badass girls, but you wanted to be, and you did it. So I love that. What do you want people to know about clinical trials?
I think that if you're in a position where you can do it, like fortunately for me, I don't have children yet. But even so, if your children are grown and maybe not even, I just think if it's right for you to do your research, as cliche as it sounds these days, but do your research and go for it. If it's something you truly believe in, and at the time I truly believe in gene therapy, but like I'm really hopeful and still hopeful. So if you believe it, do it. And also try to convince people to be donors as well. I think that's so big on your Facebook, Instagram, whatever link, be a donor.
Yeah, I'm not lost on the fact that you lost your mom while waiting for a transplant. And there's a motorcycle outside right now. I'm going to just wait to be a little dramatic until the motorcycle's gone. We have a really great Airbnb here, but it's a high ceiling and it's right by the road. So we're sorry about the echoing. But again, I wasn't going to miss this opportunity to share this with you all. So going back to the serious moment, I'm a transplant recipient. Thank God I got my donor organ in time. God bless you, Brandy and family. But your mom didn't get there in time. And while you might have thought that the future might be different and maybe that's a path, you knew how risky that path was. Like, I'm sorry that your mom didn't get there in time, that they couldn't find the organ in time. But I also wonder, would you have made the decision if that was the other way? So everything is lessons. And I wish your mom were here enjoying this moment with you. And I think she might actually be here enjoying this moment with you. But if you can't see her, what do you think the future is going to look like for women like you and young girls like you? And I love that you brought that up. We did not rehearse this at all. Like, we've not really talked a lot together. So I love that you brought up the women factor. I'd actually, earlier today, I was speaking here at the conference, and the topic was nothing to do with gender, nothing at all. But I'm like in the middle of it. I'm like, we've been talking a lot about older women and menopausal women, which is great. We need to talk about them too. But what about our young women, our young women with heart disease? We're not, nobody's going to look at you, except for the myectomy scar, and think you're a cardiac patient, because you're just a lovely young lady. And, you're a year younger than my daughter. Ouch. So, there's these lovely young ladies out there who have big hearts. So being there for those people and being an inspiration for those people, I think is amazing. Girl power. We love it. So if you're mom's transplant worked, do you think you would have made the choice, or what had you thought of that?
No, I don't know what to say to that because I hadn't thought of that. But yeah, answering right now, no, I don't think.
Yeah, you would have had a different idea of the future.
Yeah.
And you didn't want to take that chance, given what you know. That's absolutely amazing. So we have a bunch of brave girls, and God bless you. Is there anybody? I know the sound is awful. I'm so sorry. I'm going to get her on the real podcast. We'll do the station. We'll do the talk again. It'll be clearer. You'll understand it more, and we'll be able to promote it a little bit more, not on a weekend. Like we announced this last night. So you know, I'll have a lot of time to plan to be here with us. What do you want to tell the community?
Have hope. I think that's the biggest thing. I think a lot of my life I've just felt like because of this gene that my future has been written for me. And I think signing up for these trials and just taking your health into your own hands in the ways you can, diet, exercise, good relationships, is super important. So just that you're more in the wheel or in the seat of things than you think. And have hope.
I'm in awe of the decision that you made at the age that you made it with the backstory. I worried about you when I just knew it was a 27-year-old female, and I'm like I got to go take care of her. Like mama instincts kicked in, and I wondered, honestly, whether you had the maturity to understand what you were embarking upon. And I underestimated you in my imagination because you really did do your homework. You really, you did. You did more than maybe a lot of other people of your age might have done with that information. So I think you did amazing things. I want to be balanced here. And I just want to remind everybody it's early days.
Yes.
Julia's feeling better, but we don't, HCM has good days and bad days. And when you're younger, maybe sometimes we have more good days than bad days. So we have to give this some time to see how much it's improving your heart. But we have data, we just heard in a previous podcast, that the mechanism is reaching the heart. And we know that the heart is impacted and that the cells appear to be positively impacted by the genetic material getting into the heart. So we have lots of promising material here. There's now 6 other patients who've been dosed. We got data on 6, so there's a total of 7 now. And a few more will come once we get some other data managed with the FDA. And we will hopefully see more people dosed in another year and have more data to read out of. But now that you're out and about and we all know who you are, Julia, we're going to be following up with you regularly. We want to hear how you're doing and how the journey post-year is going. And I'm hoping that you will come and join us for a patient-focused drug development meeting with the FDA on April 23rd, 2026, and share the experience of being one of those pioneering patients. So be our guest. We'll talk to you. We just discussed that right now. So we'll talk about the details later. I know many more of you are going to have questions, and I promise you, as long as Julia's willing, I'm willing, we'll come back and we'll podcast. Probably set this up maybe quarterly, where we can get quarterly updates from Julia and gene therapy. I don't know. I just we'll come up with a cute name for it. But I'm glad that we have this opportunity. I have to now do a corporate roundtable for the HCMA here in New Orleans, right here in our Airbnb. Julia, I thank you from the bottom of my heart, both of my hearts, for what you have done for the community and the inspiration that you're bringing to so many families. It's early days, but we're awfully optimistic. Okay. Thank you all for joining us on Tales from the Heart. This has been one for the record books. Have a great day, everybody.